I used to think God was the sun, God is the sun, but God's so much more than the earth or the stars or all of creation. God is creator, all in all, needing us to shine His light as you and as me. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. All that I'm saying is, command my hands. What must they do? Command my life. It's here for you. God is the love that heals all creation. God is creator, makes all things new, and God needs us to shine His light as me, and as you, so use me. Oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. God needs us to shine His light. God needs us to shine His light. God needs us to shine His light as me, and as you, so use me. Oh God, I stand for you. Here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Thank you, Linda. Use me, yes. And this is the night for that, to allow our hearts to open. And we're so blessed. We have the wonderful, magnificent Christine Thompson to come in and give us our blessing. Christine.
Thank you, Gino and Linda. It was a beautiful song. Use me. So let's just start this evening In that loving space, it's already here. That was created by the divine. That right here in this place, in this space, and in this time, moving throughout our evening is the one and only thing that is ever happening. And that is love. So I know that this evening has already been ordained by Spirit in the using, breathtakingly so, by Gino. And so whatever arises this evening is merely for an invitation to be with God and with love. And so knowing these things are already so, that magnificence, that being used by Spirit, being used by the divine is already happening. I know this night is blessed, it is loved, and I let it go. And I surrender it now into more love. And so it is.
Thank you, Christine. That was beautiful. And as we are in this divine loving space, Sarah, thank you, Sarah Adams. She's behind the scenes, running the production. Bob Moss, running our sound. Christine is in between blessing and learning the production, which is so cool. And for those of you don't know, this Sunday, Christine will be our beautiful guest speakers, and you do not want to miss this fantastic presence, lifting us up in a divine, beautiful way this Sunday. So awesome. And of course, my sweet Linda, that's always here with me. So tonight, we're going to step into the unarmed black man. And I have to say for myself, it's been a little interesting. And right before I got ready to leave the house, I changed my clothes completely and my hair, because it was calling forth this. We'll talk about it on the other side. But there was something that was moving, and just the phrase unarmed black man. Just sit with that and see what that unfolds for you. So after this song, we'll have a video that we'll share a little bit. And I'll just say some parts of the video can be a little unsettling. And so if that happens for you, just be open to observe what's triggering, what's hitting. Okay? Oh, yeah. Well, you better listen, my sisters and brothers, 'cause if you do, you will hear the voices that are calling across the year. And they're crying across the ocean, and they're crying across the land. And they will until we all understand that none of us are free. None of us are free. None of us are free. If one of us in chains, none of us are free. Oh, there are people in the darkness, and they just won't see the light. If you don't say that it's wrong, that says it's right. Oh, we gotta give to one another, show each other that we care. Let's get the message out loud and clear that none of us are free. None of us are free. None of us are free. If one of us in chains, none of us are free. don't you know none of us are free? Get it, Linda. Woo! Thank you. All right, let's get ready for the video on the unarmed man.
As the verdict approaches for Darren Wilson, the Ferguson, Missouri police officer who shot and killed 18-year-old Michael Brown, the city continues to protest what they argue to be an unfair, trigger-happy police force and a war zone reaction to civilian protests. Unfortunately, this is far from the first time we've heard this story in America. Los Angeles, 1991. Rodney King, a 25-year-old black man, refuses to pull over after he's flagged for speeding. After a high-speed chase, 4 police officers surround him and severely beat him. Security footage sparks mass public outrage. Despite that, all 4 officers are acquitted of excessive force charges, and residents riot in South Central LA, causing millions of dollars in damage, thousands of injuries, and 53 deaths. New York, 2006. Sean Bell is drunk at his bachelor party. After an altercation outside a nightclub is misinterpreted by police, Bell and 2 friends are shot 50 times, killing Bell and severely injuring the others. Oh, Sean Bell, NYPD, go to hell! Mass protests follow, and despite outcry, all officers tried for the shooting are acquitted. San Francisco, 2009. Oscar Grant is involved in a drunk scuffle on a BART train late on New Year's night. Police respond and detain Grant and several friends. An unarmed Grant resists his subduer, despite being kept prone. An officer on the scene shoots him in the back, in front of dozens of witnesses, some of whom are videotaping the incident. Grant dies in the hospital a few hours later. The community immediately galvanizes to demonstrate against the police's conduct. The officer serves 2 years in prison and is now out on parole. The events inspired the 2013 film Fruitvale Station. Sanford, Florida, 2012. 17-year-old Trayvon Martin is walking home from a convenience store. Neighborhood watch coordinator George Zimmerman believes Martin looks suspicious. After he calls the police, Zimmerman approaches Martin. The two struggle, and Zimmerman fatally shoots and kills the unarmed teenager. Protests spread across the country, with figures like Al Sharpton and President Obama lending their voices in disdain for Florida's Stand Your Ground laws, which to this date have not been changed.
I just ask people to consider, if Trayvon Martin was of age and armed, could he have stood his ground on that sidewalk?
Ferguson, Missouri, 2014. Michael Brown and a friend are walking in the middle of the street. Officer Darren Wilson orders Brown and his friend off the street. A struggle ensues through the officer's truck's window, and a gunshot sends Brown running. Wilson pursues and shoots Brown 6 times. Protests, both violent and peaceful, erupt in Ferguson. Eventually, police deploy in military fashion, using non-lethal beanbag rounds to control protests and injuring several children in the process. Federal and state governments decide to take a second look at the over-militarization of police. Brown's death and the resulting chaos in Ferguson are milestones in the momentum these cases have gained. Outcry is louder on both sides, and while the government pledges to consider reform to police policy and state law, it seems like these stories have become depressingly predictable.
If a white male teen was involved in the same kind of scenario, that from top to bottom, both the outcome and the aftermath might have been different.
How many more times can the country withstand a tragic shooting, a muddy trial, and the resulting chaos?
Wow. Yes. Let's just, trying to get what that is behind me. I think it's my hair. Powerful video that I hesitated in showing and sharing. But these are the times that we're in, and thank goodness that we're in them. And the unarmed black man, this phrase that has been used by the media so many times that I myself have used, friends and family have used. Understanding, I started the conversation that before I left the house, I changed totally what I was going to wear from head to toe. And whether we realize it or not, there are images that different cultures depict, that the media has created a scenario. There are images that we see that we immediately think of something else. I was sharing with everybody that walking here today, I knew that I would get different responses, because not only do I have all the black on, I got my afro happening, I had my mask, Black Lives Matter. And so I got a couple of horn blows. Yes, sister. I mean, I used to get the horn blowing, you know what I'm saying? And people that were staring. One lady, her mouth just hung open. And so I asked you to observe you, to observe what thoughts come up for you. What does this image depict? And especially with black men, you know, the pictures that they show of black men, anytime a black man has been arrested for anything, I feel like they find the absolute worst picture that's possible, and they show it. And so when you hear the phrase unarmed black man, it actually does the opposite. It creates this scenario where we think all black men or black people are criminals or have dabbled in criminal activity. And so not only is it unarmed black man, but then the next step is that we have to justify the type of character that the man is. Oh, he was a good student, he went to church, and I've always thought, what does that have to do with anything? This difference in how we see each other, and we're seeing the hatred just really starting to light this fire as our Asian brothers and sisters are being attacked, just for the fact of who and what they are, and this continuous story that they created the coronavirus. Well, the people that you're seeing, they had nothing to do with that. They have loved ones and families too that have been affected by the coronavirus. And if it did start in China, I've had millions of people that have died there as well. This thing that we have to hate someone or we have to blame someone. I was listening to a wonderful teacher that I love, Sheila McKeaton, and this epiphany that she had, that love is it. That's we can love through anything. And I love these words that she said, that if we don't choose to love, then each of us will suffer the consequences. So I was like, ooh, if I choose to have hatred in my heart, anger in my heart, then that affects me personally. That affects my whole physical being. That affects my mental being. And so the person out there that whom you may dislike or you're disagreeing with or you hate, it's not affecting them. What you're holding in you is affecting. And so we see that we have been holding things in our consciousness that it's time to observe. And so this is a time to be honest with yourself. That if you see a woman and you didn't know me walking down the street, would you think, oh, she's militant, she's angry? Would you be afraid? Would you think that, oh, she's a troublemaker? Or would you think, hey, she's speaking her voice? Would you nod and go, hey, how you doing? Or would you shy away and not look? So much of what we see and hear is manipulating us. And if we don't start observing and thinking for ourselves, then we will continue this pattern of hating and disliking people because they're different than us. You know, unarmed black man is also another key word for thug, brute. Shifting these words around so that when you hear it, it's not as bad. For people that may not have anybody that's a person of color in their life, or maybe have never known a mother that's lost her child. One of the reasons I picked this video was because I've had a few of my beautiful white brothers and sisters ask me, well, you know, why did they run? Why didn't they do what the cops said? And regardless of that, that's not a reason, that's not a justification to kill someone. That's, I think, one of the things as we start to look at police reform, and make no mistake about it, we do need police reform. Police officers must become accountable. That you can't just, you know, you're supposed to stay in shape. It's like, what is a fireman going to do if he gains 300 pounds? He can't run up no stairs. He can't pick anybody up. That's a part of your job as a cop. You're going to have to run sometimes. I saw a video that I just said I can't show it. But here was a guy running, and I don't know what he did. So let's say he's wrong. He is as wrong as can be. The cop is in his car shooting him as he's running away. These type of things, as a community, as a country, we have to start waking up that that's not okay. That, yes, there is a beautiful job that police officers, and I do not want to be one to do it. I've never, that's not. But if you are going to do it, we have to have some new guidelines, because the ones that we have now, they're not working. They're not working for everyone. Some of you may know I'm a huge sports fan, and so Johnny Damon was I think the Boston Red Sox was the last team that he played for. He's a retired baseball player. And the cops, they have a video, the cops pull him over. I can tell when he gets out the car, he's drunk as all get out. He's stumbling, bumbling. And so you hear the cop say, "Sir, stand against the car." Hey. He's all weaving, wooving. And it's like, "Stand against the car, sir." He goes, "Look, I'm a Trump supporter." He says this. So the cop, he reaches out to the cop. "Don't touch me, sir, don't touch me." So just then his wife gets out of the car. Oh, and did I mention they're both white? His wife gets out of the car. The cop says, "Get back in the car." So he's walking around. He says, "Sir, I told you to stand," and you see them tussle. And the thing for me, I was like, and the commentator said, is this not resisting arrest? Because that's one of the excuses that's always used why they feel that it's reasonable to shoot somebody of color. They were in a tussle. The wife is cussing him out, and then one of the other cops goes, "Lady, get back in the car. Don't put your hands on me." I mean, I was like, I would have been dead by now. Lights out. There was never a gun drawn. There was not even the hand on the holster. And they didn't even know who he was at first. So it wasn't like, oh, well, maybe because he was a sports figure. But our black athletes have not gotten that type of treatment. Now, stuff does get swept under the rug. Don't get me wrong there. But they know that they can't touch an officer. The likelihood is that they will be hurt. They will be shot. And so when we hear the phrase unarmed black men, I also saw this writer that decided to take 1 year, 2015, to 2016. And in that particular year, the percentages of black men that were shot by the cops and the percentages of white men that were shot by the cop, the white men were just a little higher. And so his argument was, so, you know, why are black people trying to say that this is a racist thing? And I'm like, dude, that's 1 year. The film that I showed you, that's 22 years of incidents, just 22. There are more. There are more. So Ferguson is very close to me because I am from St. Louis, and I remember when it was happening, and my brother called me, and I was like, "Don't you go, don't you go!" And the Ferguson police, they do not play. You have to go, yes, sir, no, sir. Some of them don't like you to even look them in the eye. So you have a young teen walking in the middle of the street. And once again, one of my friends said to me, well, Gina, why is he in the middle of the street? And I'm like, so is that a reason to kill somebody because they're in the middle of the street? Well, the cop told me to get out of the middle of the street. I said, so he's defiant. I'm not knocking that. But one of the things that you see consistently with an officer dealing with black men and sometimes black women is that the moment that the order is given, if it is not obeyed in that instant, it elevates to the next level. Here, and I've seen many different white people. I've seen the white people spit on the cop. I saw one black cop. Me and my friend got so pissed off because it was a white woman talking to the black cop. She didn't have a mask on. And the black cop is, lady, I'm sorry, you're going to have to leave this establishment. And so we looked at one another like, girl, you know he would have bent our butts over, handcuffed at us. He would have drug us out. But here was this white woman that he kept constantly, miss, you're going to have to. And she was like, you have raped me. She was just saying all kind of absurd, obscene things. Finally, the white cop comes in. And he grabs her by the arm and pushes her outside. So then when that happens, she's yelling at him, but it's different. He handcuffs her. And I get it. I understand part of the fear for the black cop. That as it was, she was saying that he slapped her, he had raped her, all of these things that could potentially come back to bite him over something that was totally untrue. Unarmed black man, unarmed black woman. These pictures that you see behind me, some of these cases are extremely amazing. You know, the stand your ground, and this is how we constantly keep seeing the difference. This is all right for you, but not for me. So the two in the middle, the young man and the white girl, this is a case currently happening in Georgia. Now, Georgia has the stand your ground law, which is a law that I think should, me personally, they need to, it needs to be gone. But this law is happening in Georgia. So the young man, the black man, he and his girlfriend are out. They pull out of Taco Bell, and they're accosted by a car filled with white young men and a young woman. And they're saying nasty slurs, you're an in-lover. They're trying to run them off the road. They're cussing them out. And so the young man has a legal permit to carry a gun. He shoots at the car to get him and his girlfriend away from this. Now, the young man is black, he is white. The young lady that you see in the picture with him, she was shot in the head and killed. This happened in June. The prosecutors are saying that the stand your ground law doesn't apply to him. By no means am I saying that it's okay for anybody to get killed. But understand, and it's hard to understand, because I also had someone say to me that, well, okay, they were saying words. If you've never had someone with such anger and hate spew words at you that they want to physically hurt you, they're intimidating you. Now, they were physically trying to run this young man and his girlfriend off the road. So I bring this up because when you start to ask those questions, just start to stand back from it and observe if you would ask those questions if it were a white young man. If you could not give him the consideration that he feared for what would happen to him and his girlfriend, had they been able to drive him off the road. He's still in jail. His family, his mother is white, his father is black. Seeing his family, of course, the story begins of how he's a really good student. He's going to college. And I understand all of that, but it's like we look for those reasons far too much, and not the fact that a life on its own merit deserves to be valued. That any life is of value. And because of the color of its skin or the way that it speaks or for whatever country it's from, that should not devalue that life. But that's where we are. This was a very interesting thing. Thug that has been associated with black people, and it's this two-folded thing, because you do have some gangsters, living the thug life. You have some hip-hop artists living the thug life. Most of them have never lived the thug life, but it's a persona. But in the media, when it represents black men, it represents a criminal. Whether that young man or that man is right or wrong, a criminal. The far my left, probably your right picture of the policeman and the black man there. I remember seeing that one. Here was a man, and he was about 6 feet tall, maybe 6'2". And his car got stuck in the middle of the road, and I believe this was in Charlotte. And he had called for help. So what's not clear is how it goes from someone calling for their car for help to how it escalates to what I saw was this man with his hands up. And there is 1, 2, I think 4 cops. There's a cop that's right behind him. He has his hands up, and he goes to his car and he leans over, and you hear somebody say, "He's got a gun!" Boom, 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 boom. Prior to that, one of the things that you could hear on the tape, and it was the woman, Shelby, says, "Oh, he's a big one." So here is a female cop that's intimidated because of the size of this man. His crime was that his car stopped in the middle of the road, and he was a big black man. That was his crime. 4 cops standing around this man. And you hear the helicopter guy say, "Oh, he's not paying attention to them. He's not listening to the commands." He's got his hands up. So we find that even having your hands up is not sufficient. The least bit of movement can cause them boom, boom, boom. The other thing that's really important is that the officers are prepared to shoot. It's not like we think about it. They're here. Get out of the car. There needs to be something addressed to that. For our racial equality project this week, on police unions. And when you go on our webpage, you can click to that site, and it takes you on a site that shows you in your state what the contract is that the police have. And most of them, it kind of helped me understand, because you saw some of the pictures of scenes, that the contract is written in a way that if a cop says that he feared for his life or she feared for their life, it's almost impossible for them to be held accountable. And these are the type of things that defund the police is talking about. That we need to have more accountability. It's kind of like how we have seen with our politics. If we don't stay awake and abreast to what's happening, things will be changed. Laws will be changed. Voter suppression are the type of things that happen where your voice is not counted. And in order for us to be a true America, everyone's votes need to be counted. So I urge you to go on our webpage, check out that site. It shows you in California the contract has not come up. You can put your zip code in there. They make it really easy for you. And you can send a letter to your congressman, congresswoman. We have to participate. And even if your participation is in starting to observe, I just have to briefly touch this. I don't know how many of you are aware if you watch the show The Talk. I don't watch it, but of course it was blasted all over YouTube. Sharon Osbourne, Piers Morgan. Initially starting with Piers Morgan and his just continuous belittling and racist comments that he's had about Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, I think it is, or is it Sussex? Thank you, Sussex. And it's been over a period of time. You kind of feel like, I love this comedian that said it's kind of like he's a jilted lover, and they go on Facebook and they just say, she's this, she's that. It's been a constant thing. And so there's a scene on The Talk where Sharon Osbourne is saying that Piers Morgan is her friend, and that she knows her friend is not racist, and blah, 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 blah. And so the other two, Cheryl and Tyler, I think is her last name, they start to express to her that, he has said some racist things, and if that's your friend, you may want to have a conversation. Sharon goes immediately to, I'm not a racist, I'm not a racist, and it's just up on 10. It's like, oh my goodness. And that's my friend, and no, it's brrr. And I thought these two women were so loving and gentle in their way of trying to express what they felt. And so in comes the comment You tell me how Pierce is a racist. You show me. And I have to say this for myself, that I've been in those conversations. And sometimes because of the magnitude of the conversation, I can't think at that time to be able to pick a particular scene. So instead of Cheryl addressing that, she addressed the fact of the content of what he has been saying is affecting people of color. And that if this is your friend, and Sharon Osbourne was just irate on 10. And one of the things that upset me was there was a point that it looked like Cheryl was getting ready to cry because she said, Sharon, you're my friend. We're friends. These topics aren't easy, but our friendship, this is not her, this is me. Because I've had some tough conversations with some of my friends. And they're uncomfortable. Don't get me wrong, they're uncomfortable. But I can no longer not say what I really feel. I won't. It doesn't serve our friendship. It doesn't serve the wisdom and the expansion of what's possible. So Cheryl touches her eye as she looks like she's going to cry. And Sharon, don't you cry. I'm the one who should be crying. It's like, oh my God. And I have to say for me, because she is so irate, there are probably some racist tendencies that she's not aware of. And not only that, that in itself is privilege. The fact that you would think that you are beyond, and she goes on to say, I'm a Jew or I'm Jewish, how can I be racist? Really? That's the most asinine thing I think I've ever heard. We all have these opinions about different culture and races, and the media is a part of that, and the way a person looks has been a part of that. And so to say that you won't even listen. And so I called a friend of mine that had asked me at one point, well, what can I do? And we talked about this, and I said, one of the things that she could have done in that moment was to listen. This wasn't to be right or wrong. You may agree with it, may not, but to listen. You have the chances of you going to a store and somebody following you around, the chances of you getting pulled over just because your car doesn't look like it's the right car in the right neighborhood, I doubt you've had that. So when, and I know that there are people that feel that, oh, you black people, come on. We don't chain you up anymore. Just the bad ones. We let your kids go to school with our kids. I mean, what more do you want? We want the world to be equal for all. Because it is because of the allness that the world has expanded to the greatness that it is. That song that Stevie Wonder wrote, Black Man, I love that it was a history lesson that showed how all different nationalities gave birth to this country, not just one. Everybody participated. Some gave in their life. Some gave in inventions that were they never got recognized, and their families didn't get recognized and receive what should have happened. But we've all given to make this place the way it is right now. So that means we also can create something new. When you hear unarmed black man, start to recognize what you think that black man is. What are you thinking about him? What vision comes to your mind? When you see a black man, maybe with his pants sagging. I remember this beautiful lady, I was in Seattle, and we were doing a workshop on racism. And she was honest. And I said, if you see a young black man with his pants sagging, with a chain, she said, I'm going to cross on the other side of the street because I'm afraid of him. He's a drug addict. He's a criminal. And she listed, and the other people in the class was like, oh, I was like, no, this is the truth. I said, and what if it's your grandson? And before she could think, she said, well, he's white. The fact that you can think that he's white with his pants sagging, he's not a criminal. He's styling. He's wearing what the kids are wearing today. But this young black man with a hoodie on, he's a suspect. He's somebody that potentially, you look at the Trayvon Martin, this was because someone said that a black young man with a hoodie on is a possible criminal. If he were white, it would have been like she said, but he's white. How is that possible? Thug, brute, minority. If you find yourself looking at another nationality and thinking that they're a minority, that's racist. I thought about that. I was like, I've never looked at another culture and go, oh, that's the Asian minority, or that's an Indian that's a minority. But because the word minority has been set up for anybody that's other than white. This is a word that must be taken out of our vocabulary. We have to recognize this does not honor. This says automatically that these are people that are less than. They're inferior. Observe when you see pictures of black people that they're saying, oh, he ran and did this, he did that. Just observe the difference in the pictures themselves. They usually look straggly and just this vision of what a criminal is, that's what's put forth. And they play it constantly. They being the media. There was a story from the 1900s, and it wasn't the first, but they related to the fact of this is how lynching became a novelty, that it was a white woman that said one of the slaves had raped her. They not only lynched and killed him, but the mob of white men killed over 300 people, black people. Lynchings became an outing for families. So we see today, because I guess maybe 6 years ago, they had a lynching in Texas. And this was based around a black man supposedly having some type of affair with a white woman, only to find out later that, it was consensual. But the anger, the hatred, the seed that we are unearthing, that we are not human beings. And they did studies that said our head was too small, or our jawline was more like an ape. These things that have been done, that have been said about people of color, to create this scenario that provides a sense of comfort. That, oh, I'm not killing someone's son. I'm not shooting someone. He's a criminal. He's running. He's defiant. She's incoherent. I'm not killing a human being. This is a criminal. So we want to start listening ourselves to what and how we see people that don't look like us. This last story, it's funny, but true, and it's actually one that I kind of relate to a little bit. Someone called the police. 911 said, "Hey, there's a white woman driving in such and such a car. This black man is trying to steal the car from her. He's in the car with her. You've got to help." The cops spot the car, pull the car over. White woman driving, black young man in the car. "Get out of the car!" And the woman's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? They run and they handcuff the guy. And they're like, "Lady, are you right?" She's like, "Yes, what are you doing with my grandson?" And the cops are like, "What?" "That's my grandson." Now, she was white as all white get out. He was very chocolate. My mother told me a story as a kid. When I was little, I was really, really high yellow, as they would say, high yellow. And my mother was very rich cocoa. And she was at the store shopping, and my mother was one that believed that children do not fall out and do temper tantrums. That is not what we do, not with me. And so I saw a little girl do it. And I thought, she got the doll. Hey, I'd ask first. But my mama said no. So I started crying, and I fell out on the floor, just like the little girl. The theatrics have been with me a long time. And so my mother snatched me up. She's like, "What is wrong with you? Have you lost your mind?" A woman saw that and ran to the store manager, and this is my mother telling me the story, told the store manager that a nanny was hitting a little white girl. And when the store manager came over to my mother, now my mother had a little bit of a temper. And he looked and said, "Lady, what are you doing?" And she was like, "What the you doing in my business?" There was some security guards that came around, and let's just say my mother was not happy. Not happy, but it scared the bejeepers out of her. And my grandmother, who was a jokester, would say, "Well, Jen, I guess you can't take Gino out shopping until she get darker." But the fact that they thought that she was chastising a white child, they were ready to call the cops. They were, my mother was really, it was traumatic to her. It was very traumatic. So I say this in closing. Unarmed black man, thug, brute, criminal. Be mindful of what you think that looks like. Because the pictures that you have been given, it is not necessarily the truth of who and what someone is. Let's not call a whole nationality of people criminals. And I get unarmed black man is there to help to show that, hey, they didn't have a gun and they still got shot. But we still want to be mindful if that also connects that they could be a criminal. And maybe sometimes they are. But being a criminal is not justification to be killed. I'm going to show you this playlist right now. Just watching that playlist reminds me that there are so many, but they have given their lives for us to birth a new world. So I thank you for being here with Kitchen Conversations and joining me in the kitchen. This is our conscious giving time. Universal Spirit Center, you are fantastic in all of your loving and giving, in your willingness to expand and to expose yourself and your awareness, to embrace this uncomfortableness in such love. Because we do know that love is the core of everything. And is that love that you share so magnificently with us through your tithes, through your time, through your talent. Pour yourself in me, pour yourself into my heart. Oh, wonderful feeling. Pour your joy in me, pour your joy into my heart. Oh, wonderful Spirit, pour your joy in me, pour your joy into my heart. Oh, wonderful Spirit, pour your love in me, pour your love into my heart. Oh, wonderful. Sing and dance with me. Sing and dance into my heart. Oh, wonderful Spirit. Let me just share a couple of things that are happening. As you know, this is our Conscious Giving Month. How exciting. If you have not received your packet, please reach out to Lee at Universal Spirit Center so that he can get one to you. It's a beautiful packet. And also you get a wonderful card that you can add to our tapestry, that the tapestry of us, that will be this beautiful photo of all of the community, creating what that is for you. Also, I'm really excited that we're having the parade, the drive-by rally, whoop, 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 the last Sunday of this month on the 28th from 12 until 1:30. And we will be in Balboa Park. Also, you can find the directions for that on our webpage as well, because you don't want me to give them to you. You go down this street, you turn that way. But we will have people there with balloons and signs so you'll know where we are. You get an opportunity to do the ritual of putting your conscious giving contribution for the year in our basket, and you get to have a pic with the Rev, which we will make a montage of that as well. Super awesome. As I said, the racial equality call to action this week is police unions. Go on our webpage, check that out, put your zip code in there, find out what's happening in your community. That's a way to be a part of it. They made it so simple for us to find out. So let's step into that. And of course, we have coming up the movie of the month, where we will unpack it in our Zoom room. Miss Virginia, the last Friday of this month at 6:30. We will be there discussing a great flick, really fantastic. So, as the Rev always says, let's take a breath. Love, love, love. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Sarah, for doing such a spectacular job. Thank you, Christine. Woo, 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 Whoop! And don't forget, Christine is this Sunday. It's going to be fantastic, along with Gary Lynn Floyd. What a powerful Sunday. I'm so excited. I'm looking forward to it. Bobby in the house, checking us out. And of course, my sweet Linda, doing what she does on those beautiful keys. I thank all of you for being here, whether it is right now or it's later in the future. Know that this heart to your heart feels with so much love and joy. Thank you for being here for Kitchen Conversations. I'll see you next week. I'll see you next week for Awakening Wednesday. Pour yourself in me. Pour yourself into my heart. Oh, wonderful Spirit. Pour yourself in me. Pour yourself into my heart. Oh, wonderful Spirit. Sing a song in me. Sing a song into my heart. Oh, wonderful Spirit. Sing a song in me. Sing a song into my